Let's do it.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Hey, man, it's your boy Rock from Rock Lifestyle, and welcome to the Black Sheep Parlor. Hey, man, like always, I got my man E, and best mate, Alan. And today on the show, man, we got a very, very special person. And when I mean special, I mean that they are out there for more than just making money. This person is out there actually trying to change lives and the world just with the things she's learned, things she's been through, and her new experiences that she go through every day. Talking about being with family, down to her own relationships, and making her kids strong. So without further ado, I introduce Miss Mercedes Green.
Hi. I love that introduction. Thank you.
No worries, no worries, man. It was a long time coming. We go back. I want to say at least five years back. Me knowing you and one of my good friends, Alistair. Um, can you just give us just a brief background of you, who you are, where you come from?
Sure. So my name is Mercedes Denise Green. He did mention my husband. I am married to my lovely husband, my king, Alistair Green. We have been married for 14 years, together for 18. We have 4 children. He is a personal trainer, and I am a marriage and family therapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm also in the military, and I also write books, and I'm also a poet. That's pretty much it.
That's what I'm
That's
talking about.
awesome.
That's what I'm
That's
talking
crazy.
Thank you.
That's that's a well versed like it's just everywhere. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got a big skill set there.
Thank
Impressive.
you.
And
Yeah.
a poet, the last one, the
Yeah.
poet got me.
Thank you.
You said you wrote some books. So what's the name of your books?
So the first one was called The First Chapter. The second one was I Lie, I Cheat, They Hurt. The third one was In Prison to Self. And the last one that I did was a self-help journal. It's called Write My Right, 120-day self-help, self-reflective journal.
Oh man. So everything's about improving yourself. Pretty much you can call yourself get right type of writer, I guess you want to say.
I like that. I've never thought of that. So I'm all about empowerment for those who don't have a voice. And a lot of times some people have a voice, but they're so used to connecting with others and being up under other people that they won't step out on their own. So a lot of the stuff that I do in the books that I write are pretty much for that, especially the third one, In Prison to Self. When I worked at the prison, there were a lot of individuals in there that had so much knowledge, but of course their voice couldn't be heard because people automatically look at their status, as a criminal, as a felon. So nobody really wants to hear from them. And then, so when I wrote it in the book, there were a lot of people that were in prison in their mindset that weren't even in prison, that did have a voice, and didn't want to use it. And then the ones that are in prison want to use their voice, but can't. So that's all I'm about, is empowerment.
That's awesome. And let me ask you a curious question. You piqued my interest. How did you have you're juggling so many balls, you have so many hats. How did you be in the military and become a therapist? It's almost like from my perspective, it's almost counterintuitive.
Yeah. Well, at first it is, but it's also the lifespan that you're in, and there's different stages of my life. I was an MP, I went overseas and I was on the PSD team fighting, for the general and stuff like that. I did all my GI Jane stuff, and then I kind of slowed down after I started having kids. I became a drill sergeant, raising other people's kids, and you become a counselor. You're an inner counselor. And so I just continued to go to school for it. And then that was my passion. And like I said, with empowerment being my calling, there's stuff that we're paid to do, and that's our careers. But your calling, you're not necessarily paid to do it. It just comes to you naturally. And so with that empowerment being my calling, that was my calling to go into therapy work, because with the license behind me, now I could do more stuff on my own, that I've been wanting to do. So yeah, it is kind of different. I see what you're saying, but it was all a stage, that God brought
Yeah,
me through, and this is where I'm at now. So
that's
thank you.
awesome. That's awesome. That's yeah, kudos, especially for family therapy. I mean, I worked for a nonprofit and I worked with a lot of families, a lot of low income, minority families, and sometimes we had to do house visits and whatnot, and that was really tough, especially when at that time I was very young, and then dealing with like 9, 5, 12, 16-year olds and a dysfunctional parent household and low income. It's like you got everything going against you.
Yeah, no, and you're definitely right. You're definitely right. That happens a lot in our communities, and it kind of hurts you because you said the 9-year-olds and the 5-year-olds, it hurts you when it's the kids that's living through that, because,
Right.
they were born into it. And that's where the empowerment comes in, because you need to be the voice, not saying you, I'm saying just in general, my passion makes me want to be the voice for that child, that kid.
Right. That's great. That's
Selfless act.
heartfelt.
Yeah, man, very selfless act. And that's what makes you so special. Um, there's not a lot of people that's really out there that's really just trying to change the world. And it's one step at a time. We can always want to change everything at one time, but to take that one step, this and then you chose a path that's not even desired all the time, because it hits you in so many different ways. It punishes you emotionally. It wears on you, physically, because you're staying up those long hours trying to figure these things out, and you also try to deflect it, and it don't affect your home life, because sometimes you deal with something so much, you tend to take that shit home. You know what I mean? And it's good you're balancing so much. Like, you take the pack off when you come in the house before, what I'm saying, you get and love your kids. You take your pack off again, what I'm saying, when you about to step in to you talking to your new people. You know what I mean? These are different packs that you're carrying. Um, and honestly, that's what we stand for. We stand for the black sheep, the people that's just like you, the people that, like, is cool with walking down this path that not everybody's going down, and you see all the distractions and obstacles in your way, and you still push through it. And wow, that's what the black sheep is. So if I was to call you a black sheep, right, how will you define yourself as a black sheep?
Black sheep, different. And the reason I say different is because most sheep, people see them, they're white. Most sheep are white. People look at white and they think clean. People look at black and they think awkward, different, challenging, troublemaker. But the thing with the black sheep is they can always be seen. So whether you know my name or not, you're going to see me, baby. You're going to see me coming. You're going to see the people who are with me coming. So that's what I think of when I see black sheep.
That's awesome. I like that.
Like,
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
That wasn't rehearsed.
Nah, they.
No, yeah, we got that. Yeah, we definitely felt that one.
No. So, what were some pivot points or memories in your life that made you the person who you are today?
Most of my failures. So my biggest failure was walking away from my job. I worked at the federal prison, and it's not something that I talk a lot about, but it was a big fail for me because I'm used to succeeding in life. And it got to the point where I even contemplated, fixing it by walking away permanently, making sure my kids were okay financially. But that's how I felt I was going to fix it. From that, though, I started thinking of the people around me and how people put themselves into a corner and think that there's no other way to go. So if there was somebody to reach their hand out to me, I would have been willing, to reach out my hand and then get back on the road. And so that's what made me, along with everything else, kind of stay on this path, stay here, be here. And every time I see anything that I've done or anything that God's brought me through, anything that God's doing for my family, my clients, my soldiers, it just reminds me of that day when I didn't make that decision, to end my life.
Man.
Right. To go off of that, you're in a very specialized field that's very tough, and it requires a lot of mental fortitude. I would ask, how do you take those setbacks, and how do you almost adapt to them and grow from them? Because that is a very challenging field. I mean, that's not a lie. You're dealing with so many different perspectives and so many people who are already down and out that it's almost you have to get in that mindset
Yes,
to
and
understand them.
you truly do. To understand them, I like how you said that. So there's one thing that we're trained on, and it's called countertransference. And with countertransference is we kind of make the client's life, their lifestyle, their beliefs, their situation, their experiences, we make it our own. And so when you recognize that you're doing that, that's when we kind of need to step back. So before even going in, we have to be, and I'll say instead of we, I'll say I have to be aware of my own personal biases, my own personal prejudices, my own personal hates, pain, anything that I'm going through that maybe I haven't actually dealt with. Like if I don't, but if I had daddy issues and I didn't realize I had daddy issues, and then I'm presented with a client that experiences daddy issues, and I start feeling that countertransference, I'm not going to be able to be 100% with that client. So I'm going to have to step back. That's when I go get my own therapy. That's when I go consult with my own therapeutic friends, my family, whoever I can about that situation so I can get it taken care of. The other part of countertransference is trying to fix a problem the way we know how to fix it. Now, I already self-disclosed that I did have suicidal thoughts. So if a client comes and I've already been through that, I can't jump the gun and be like, oh, well, this is what worked for me. Let me go ahead and share this with the client.
Right.
No, I have to immediately remove myself. When I remove myself from that situation, it just becomes the client. And then the other part is having a spouse that understands. Now, my brother, Mr. Rock, he knows my husband, but anybody that meets my husband, he's a really down-to-earth guy, but he does not play when it comes to me. Like, he does not allow me to bring that stuff in the house. Like, this is Green Team household. You leave that stuff at the door. If there's something we need to talk about, we talk about it before we come into the door. There's no negative spirits. We're not bringing that in the house. Having him by my side has helped me in so many ways. I don't even think he understands, and there's not enough words that I can use to express it. But that's some of the stuff that we use to make sure that we don't, take on too much of that ourselves, if that answers your question.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Sweet.
awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, man. And that's cool to have a good team like that. Like people don't really understand how the home relationship makes you strive to be better. Because now you're not scared to go out and, sacrifice yourself because you can come home and you get your wounds licked by your loved one, you know what I mean? Or you get that cuddling that you didn't get all day. You know, I understand that. I got me a very strong woman behind me because my personality is crazy. And I need that taper, boy. Like I'll be off the chain when I don't supposed to be off the chain. And then I can always look back to see where my meter's at. And she's like right there, So for you and Big Al to have that relationship, that is, what I'm saying, that's why you so together. You know what I mean? That's why you was able to help somebody. Because if your shit wasn't together, you ain't gonna be able to help nobody. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to listen to you. You got problems. Keep keep your shit, keep your stuff to yourself. Shoot. Hey man. Hey, but I would I would understanding that you do a lot of things for improving people's lives and stuff like that. Especially on a emotional level. How do you define success? Is it off how many people you cure or new things that you come up with? Like,
Yeah, especially in your occupation, like the return
Yeah.
on your investment to put it in words is not as high as in compared to other careers.
Yeah. Yeah. So the success is not mine to celebrate. It's the client's. So when the client has that like light bulb feeling, it's easy for me to want to celebrate, and be like, oh, like look what I did. And when you're a young therapist, you want that because you need that feedback. But as you mature in this field, you realize that the success is not yours, it's for the client. And so when the client reaches that, because not all clients reach it, There's some cases where you'll have a client come and sit in front of you like, what you gonna do? Yep, the court sent me here, now work. And you like, hold on. hold on, wait. So if I measure my success by that, then I'll be depressed all the time. But if I put it back on the if I put it back on the client, then it's more fulfilling for me too, because now the client receives that. And then in terms of numbers, I personally don't really look at it as numbers. There are a lot of people that I've been with. There are a lot of people that I've seen, but just like in biblical days, there's only certain people that come back. I do like the comeback. I do like that. Thank you. That, oh my gosh, when you don't understand what you did, or I do like that. Everybody likes that. It makes them feel great. But I do always put it back on the client. It wasn't something that I did. It was something you did. I always tell my clients that the teacher can only provide the curriculum. It's up to you to actually apply the material to your life.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And as a teacher, what would you say is something that is very common throughout all of humanity that we can work on? Like something that you could easily say, well, this is something that if we just were self-aware of this, we would be able to improve even 1%.
Yes, that would go with my last journal, the self-reflection. I think the self-reflection is very beneficial to everybody, no matter what culture, no matter what gender, no matter how you identify or how I identify, because it sees the problem in yourself and then allows you to fix it. If all of us were to look inward, and then we would have less problems. The activists wouldn't have to work as hard. The therapists wouldn't have to work as hard. Obviously, there's always something out there that's going to be a solution that people are looking for. So there's going to have to be activists, because not everybody's going to do the same thing. But if we were able to look at ourselves and see, okay, where in me did I make that, wrong turn? Where I'm talking to this individual, was it me that misunderstood what they were saying? Where was the deflection? You know what I mean? Like, if they can do that, then I think this would be a better world. I think we would move towards change. But that's hard, because now I'm telling myself, pride-wise, that there's something wrong that I need to fix, and nobody wants to hear that.
Right. So it's a level of self-awareness, just a higher level.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm. Look at you, girl. You just blowing through this whole interview. Just blowing. Like, you speak, and it's good that to hear a person speak this way, because you're speaking from the heart. You're speaking from the mind and the heart, and it's coming off so easy, just rolling off the tongue. Like far as even educating us with, things you have to go through, far as an everyday life of that. Yeah. 18 years though. Wow, 18 years in the Army?
Yes, 18 years in the Army.
All right.
Wow.
The Army Reserve. Yes.
So now I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
First of all, you've been dope through this whole podcast, and I'm definitely going to invite you back, because I want to do this thing. I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I need you to tell me, was it easy being a woman in the Army?
No.
What about being a black woman in the Army?
No.
Why? Because that's the question.
Yeah.
I want you to think about it. What you think about it?
I know. That one's, there's a lot to dive in there. I can start with the femininity, if that's okay, because going into the African American part is going to be probably a little bit more political for me. But I know and I apologize, this is a touchy subject.
Oh, we're all ears and we're all open. That's what we're all about. We're all about inclusivity and taking in those perspectives so that we learn as well, because we're always trying to grow. That's
good. No, I'm talking about myself, Eric. I was doing a self-reflection.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure we're good.
It's a touchy subject, but this is your time,
Yeah. No, so I'm gonna go back to when I first started in the military. A lot of the programs they have now, they didn't have when I was coming up. For a lot of young women coming up, they're protected a lot more than I was protected. So there's a thing that people often do to protect themselves and prevent other people from harming them, and that is one with being one with the person. So I would be in groups with a bunch of men. I've always been around a bunch of men. They would say degrading terms about women, about things they could do to women. Just stuff that now would not be accepted, but I accepted it as a woman, and I would do what is taught not to do now, would laugh. I would laugh and joke with them, even though I felt uncomfortable. I felt like I always had to be on guard. I was taught how to use a knife at a really, in my really early career. I was taught how to use a knife instead of a weapon because I already knew how to shoot, but I needed to know how to defend myself if I was ever attacked and raped. And so even when we would go out, enjoy ourselves, I was in Italy, in a whole nother country. And the whole time I kept thinking, test me, test me. that's how you want to enjoy yourself. I'm thinking, test me, because I have these newfound skills. But I wasn't able to enjoy it because I was always on the defense. But even on the defense, I didn't want to cause an issue, because you cause an issue, now you got a whole investigation. Now you have this going on. I didn't want to do that. And so even with me, I don't know, I know Rock knows a little bit about my career, but with me coming up, I was literally G.I. Jane. So I was constantly on the go. Every mission I wanted to do, I was willing to go overseas. I wanted to do everything that I could do. So my come up in the ranks was valid. But then you had some individuals whose come up wasn't as valid. And now you don't know is if it was they were coerced into having sexual relationships so they could come up. You don't know if they were raped so they could have, keep their mouth shut. It was so many political things going through. And because you're a woman, I'm a woman, it's like, okay, well, maybe she's one of them, because she came back from overseas and she had stripes on her. But when she went over there, she was a PFC, or she was a specialist. So now I have to live with that. Do they think that I was like this? So let me fix myself and let me prove myself. I'm constantly proving myself as a woman in the military. No, I can do this. I feel like I'm working harder than my male counterparts, because I want to prove that despite my family, despite my marriage, despite my kids, I can be hardcore. You can pick me for this mission. And a lot of my male counterparts didn't have to do that. I remember one individual, he had a pot belly, and I'm not talking negative about men. I love men. They're wonderful. But he had a pot belly. His PT scores were not up too high, and he got picked over something that I didn't get picked for. And I went back and I looked. I always self-reflect. I looked at my PT scores. I looked at my promotion packet. I looked at everything that I had to present, and I still just didn't get it. And then I look back, and he's buddy with the individuals that picked him. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see what happened there. But again, I didn't have that support. So I kept my mouth shut. It's okay. I'm a laugh. I'm going to go with you. The other part, if we can go to the African American portion.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
1 second.
Okay.
That was a lot to digest.
Sorry.
No. It's just, I don't want to run through it. I want that thing to marinate, because you're going to have people watching this.
Oh.
And I want them to understand some of the stuff that you went through and what you thought you had to do it. And you're right. A lot of those protections we didn't have back in the day. Like all of us right now, from E, Allen, and myself, we're all prior service members. And we all seen bad things in the military for females. Far as, inappropriate conversations that done, and if you say something about it, oh, why you being so weak? Why you acting like that? The derogatory language is saying, oh, why you running like a girl? You know what I mean? Like we use femininity as a very, very negative term in the Marine.
Yeah, it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah, man. Like
it goes back to our previous conversation. It's whatever we can connotate toward a sign of weakness, we'll use it as fuel, and it's not always the proper fuel.
Yeah, it's definitely not the right way. But it's a culture thing, right?
Yes.
The culture thing. Yeah. And I mean, it's just not in the Marine Corps, like she said, the Army, and all the branches have this issue. So the question is, how do we fix that culture, that image of the military?
I think
Especially when it's primarily males that are in the military. That's the difficult part because
Yeah,
yeah,
my job didn't even allow women when I left active duty 2013 and went back to
yeah,
reserves. It didn't even allow women at that time in my MOS.
You know
yeah,
what I was told too, and this came from an infantryman that I worked with in as the MPs, the military police, and he told me that when women are a part of your unit, it makes your unit look weaker. And I thought, how disrespectful for him to say that, but that was that was the common generality at that time,
yeah, yeah,
for them to look and think, okay, once you involve women in it, because let's just be honest, there's sexual tension. Once you involve women in not for the individuals that, may identify as homosexual or whatnot, but once you involve women, then there's the potential for that to maybe happen. So now there's no longer focus on the mission. You're
yeah,
focusing on trying to, you know, gain tell or whatever they call it these days or something like that, and then go onto the mission. And then now it's a vulnerability if you build a relationship with that person, because you're always going to make sure that that person is okay. You're going to make sure nothing happens to that person. And now again, we're interfering with the mission because you're vulnerable.
yeah,
Well, well, yeah, you're absolutely right, but I don't think nothing's wrong with actually
I would say the
getting
opposite.
intimate. Yeah, not intimate, but like actually gaining a relationship with the opposite sex and stuff like that. I think that's needed because then that's actually going to bridge that whole gap. Now, you are right. Now, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to want a little bit more. But you shouldn't shun that away because now it's going to create a divide just because we're separate. You know what I'm saying, male and female. Oh, I can't be cool with her because she's a girl. I can't be cool with him because he's a guy. So most of these, and I watch it all the time. I know you guys watch it too. I watch these girls try to be like the guys. Like they'll try to fit in, like to the point that they won't wash their hands. Oh, my hands are dirty. That's how that's how we get down. I ain't no girl. Like they try to almost make themselves fit in to the point that they lose who they are. And now, what's your base now? You're going to be basing yourself off your whole career, your next level, based off this facade that you done build up because you're trying to fit in. Like, that's crazy.
yeah,
But
It is crazy. It is crazy, but it happens. They're put in a place where they have to do that because, like I said earlier, I have to prove myself as a woman. So a way for me not to have to prove myself as a woman is just to self-identify with the men. So every time, everything I do is similar to my male counterparts. I piss. I use the word piss. I use different connotations when I talk. Like we can be in a setting and they go outside, start smoking weed. I start smoking weed with them, and not saying that I did all this. I'm just saying they're forced to do that because I don't want you to look at me differently. Because when you look at me differently, you're always going to think that I'm weak. You're always going to try to put me down. I'm going to hear you calling your other male soldiers. You're going to call them my name to make them think that they're weak. But if you see me as one of the homies, you're going to treat me like one of the homies.
yeah. And the same thing could be said, like Rock and E. When we were PFCs checking into our units, what did we do? We try to blend in and make our chain of command and our department happy, right? So we did whatever everybody else was doing, just trying to fit in. But like you said, Mercedes, from a female perspective, it's even harder. It's even harder, and a lot of these people in the military or served in the past, they don't put themselves in a female's position. They just look at it through their own point of view. So I think one way to help is change the culture. Obviously, is education and perception. Putting yourself in a female's shoes, just to experience what they go through. So I think that would help.
Now, I gotta ask. I mean, from a certain perspective, did you ever not speak up or have or actually voice your opinion because of a fear of what others might say?
Yes.
After you gained that, even with all that rank and all your time in, you just still held back.
After the rank, no. And with more time in, no. I think with more time in and training, it was more so the fear was kind of going away with more knowledge on what I could do. That's why I'm saying I'm glad that they had the protections. But before then, yes, I kept my mouth shut, especially with the MPs. It's just you didn't, and they were all seen as our brothers, whether you dated each other or not. You didn't cause friction in your own household. You know, you guys stuck together. There was a band together. Somebody did something wrong, you guys took care of it. So yeah, I kept my mouth shut a lot with that, with the MPs, and then coming into the drill sergeant unit, I felt like I was just more educated on a lot of stuff that I could do, and I wanted to go back to the MPs and just, you know, now start over. It's kind of like when you see that bully and you're walking down the street and now you know some more moves and you like, try me, try me. But the bully's nowhere to be found. Like that's kind of how it felt. But yeah, thank you for asking that question.
Man.
I have a quick question, Mercedes. You've done 18 years. You help with people with mental issues or whatever the case may be. A young PFC or a young woman who wants to join the Army, what advice would you give her based on your own experiences?
To be aware of her surroundings, to educate her on the reporting factors, on how she could report, also educate her on how to respond to those sexual innuendos, you know, the ones that made me feel uncomfortable, that I didn't know what I could do. I just know what I couldn't do, you know. So educating her on what she's able to do, on what's in her hand, educating her on the supports that's in her corner, making sure that she has contact information to those supports, just trying to figure out what she's comfortable with talking about and what she's not comfortable with talking about, making her be aware of her history, you know, where she came from. If she came from a certain area and she's going into a unit that is nothing like that area, just helping her, you know, prepare and stuff like that. Most of the stuff that wasn't available for me as a PFC and, you know, during that time, I would try to encourage her with that.
Nice.
Now, I am going to lead back into you being a Black woman in the service. Now, it's one thing having discrimination as being a female. No matter the color of your skin, if you're a female, you pretty much go through some of the same issues. Not all. I'm not going to say all. I'm not categorizing that at all. But I will say that you guys do encounter a lot of sexual harassment, a lot more than what guys would go through. But as a Black woman, that's a little more different. So can you talk to me about that?
Yes, it is a lot different as a Black woman. I think for Black females, and this is nothing against you, Rock, or my husband, I think Black females are often forgot in our communities. They did start a whole say her name for with Black Lives Matter when women were being killed and they weren't saying anything about the women, they were saying things about the men. Because once you attack the men, you attack the lion of the family. But the women were just as important, and we've always fallen behind. We fell behind on voting, you know, we fell behind on several rights, and it was like we always had to have the man that came to our rescue. Being in the military, I felt like there was never an African American male to come to my rescue. I felt like I was always on my own as an African American male or female. So I would never identify as an African American female. It would just be female. I wouldn't say anything about my roots. If something came up, like you guys are in the military, so you know how we all talk to each other in terms of race. Something came up in terms of Black or NIGGA this or that, I would literally keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't say anything. It wasn't until I met one strong male in the military. He was very, you know, excellent leader. And that's when they started making the commanders do like some of the climate control interviews before they took over the units. And he reminded us all that we had separate identities outside of the military. The military culture is its own identity. And we all identify with the military culture despite what color uniform that we put on. But there's also something under that uniform. And he reminded us and let us know your color. It's okay for you to identify with your culture. It's okay for you to be a proud Hispanic, a proud Puerto Rican, a proud African American, and then also be a soldier. The problem comes in when you start throwing those political terms out there, and then you're hurting your other fellow brothers and sisters. And now we can't go on the battlefield because I don't trust that this individual from the KKK is going to have my back as an African American female. So when he brought that up, it kind of, when people bring up an issue, it kind of brings awareness and people start thinking about it. I was more upset with myself than I never actually spoke up because being prideful, I'm not going to ask for help. So I'm not going to go search for a male and be like, hey, can you, represent me as a Black female and let these guys know it's disrespectful what they're saying to me. It's rude, what they're saying to me because they're walking around talking about big, I'm sorry, I don't know if we can cuss now. I'll say butt, talking about big butts,
Yeah, you
big
can.
thighs.
You
You can.
on this podcast.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh,
But
you're good.
they're describing a Black woman, and then when I come, that's how they're describing me. But I don't want to be described like that. I want to be described as G.I. Jane. I want to be described as what I can bring to the table, not what you think that my color could be. We went on one of the missions, and had downtime, and they asked me to cook chicken. You want me to fry some chicken? Why you didn't ask me to cook tacos? Why you didn't ask me to make a salad, make burgers? They wanted me to fry some chicken. And you know what I did? I fried the fucking chicken. I I fried the chicken, but I'm
Oh,
saying
shit.
that's how quiet I was, and I didn't get to speak up. I didn't have that support. And I shouldn't have needed that support. I should have just been, as an African American female, I'm proud to do whoop whoop. But
Right.
no, I was more scared of causing a rift in the water than I was of sticking up for myself. Never again, though. I don't feel that way now, and I support my soldiers so that they don't ever feel that way. But the other thing I think, as an African American female, and I'm not being cocky or nothing, but I was sought after by a lot of white men, by a lot of Puerto Rican men, by some Hispanic men, and I just wanted to do my mission. I just wanted to do my mission. But now it's like, okay, well, I think there was only 4 Black females in our unit at that time. It was strong male because a lot of them came from infantry. So the Black desired. And when we went to Italy, we went to Kosovo, everyone saw like, oh, the melanin. Like, they saw that, and it's beautiful, because you want to be recognized for your beauty and stuff like that. But at the same time, I want to be recognized for what I can do
Right.
and not
Yeah.
what you see me as. I don't want to be
Yeah.
recognized for my breasts. I don't want to be recognized for my hips. I don't want to be recognized for what you think I can do in the bedroom, because now it's tainted if I do get a promotion and people are going to go back and be like, oh yeah, remember when she dropped it like it was hot? Like, no, I don't want you saying that about Mercedes Green.
Mm.
So to go off of that, we obviously served in 2 different areas, 2 different times. And one of the things I talk to these guys about, it feels like in the military culture, you almost there's a level of gentrification that people lose their identity, whoever they are, and get almost absorbed into this character of a military man or woman.
Yeah.
So would you say that's well, I would say that's a part of an issue because we lose our, like you said, our identity overall. What would you have anything like further? Because you're obviously a smart one.
I'm thank you for that. I'm gonna take that. But I think it's a good and a bad thing. So it's one of those organizational values, that we instill. So as an organization, if you want your organization to prosper, you want to kind of incorporate, not kind of, but you want to incorporate your values into your employees. So that's what the military does, because it eliminates that, how we talk to each other, and oh, da 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 this. It eliminates all that because you're acting on the military culture, the military values. I know the Marines. I think you guys have different values than we do as the Army, but your mindset is to. I love you. Your mindset is to behave that way despite what you think personally. So in that sense, yes, it's good because it helps us just reach the mission and do what we have to do to get to the mission. In the hindsight, it's not good because after we take out that uniform, we still get into that military mindset, and that's where the PTSD comes from. The PTSD doesn't leave when you take off that uniform.
Right.
You know, that all our other symptoms that we have, the mental symptoms that come from our military lifestyles and, you know, our military backgrounds, doesn't come off when we take off that uniform. And that's where it's harmful, because now the individuals that did have those cultures that actually gave them the coping skills that they could use to handle trauma, and that they could use to handle setbacks, defeats, you know, failures, they're not able to use because they're used to going hard in the paint. You know, I'm gonna take my weapon. I'm gonna finish the mission. I'm gonna do what I need to do. Then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get another mission. I'm gonna go here. Oh, I got hurt. Okay, now you can't do nothing but on paperwork. But I don't do paperwork. I need to get back there on the field. You can't get up back there on the field. We're gonna go ahead and medically discharge you and sit you at home and pay you a check, and you're just gonna sit at home. So now I'm depressed because I'm used to doing this, but my culture is Catholicism. And I forgot Catholicism because I'm used to this military culture where I have to shoot first. You know, I'm up, they see me, I'm down. Now I'm rolling throughout the house and practicing this, and nobody understands, and it's not helping me because this is my military culture. But I forgot about my prayer. I forgot about my family culture. I forgot about my African American background. So I think that's where it hurts us. It hurts us after we take off the uniform.
You know, transition is, you're actually right, because we were talking about that not too long ago about transitioning out or into something else. So that's pretty much why we started this whole brand. Well, it started off with Eric first, and then it branched off to us, and but it was about transition. That's the biggest gap. When people are getting out of the military, it's like, I'm still militant, but I'm around a whole bunch of civilians. So I'm singled out. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, then you start feeling pressure because no one around you. You had all these people around you that had the same mindset, same jokes, same personality type in a sense. And now you're around everybody that's so different. So you kind of get in on yourself. And I think that's what the military is forgetting. They're so quick to, and this is not a shot on them, but it's just something that they need to recognize. They're so quick to get, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and get your transition out so they can put a new one in. They forget about how long it took you to get in is going to be almost the same way it's going to take you to get out. So they're worrying about, all right, 6 months out, send them to this class. No, I think a year. I think a year out, you should be in transitioning on what you're going to do next, your mindset, and everything else that comes in between, because you can lose your family time when you get out. And
Right.
I think cops would be a lot less too. The cops would be a lot less because most of them are military people. We losing our mind out there, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, we are, and then we're so resourceful because we've been put in these situations where we had to be in a different country and make it work. So now we're here. The ideas of what we think is just crazy, just outrageous. But you said a mouthful, and I like that. That's something that really hits home. Um,
Yeah, because I found historically that like my own best leaders were always usually the ones that could think for themselves and could hold their identity while still hold that cultural aspect and mission. And me, I was blessed with stubbornness. So so no
not
matter where I
you,
went,
not you.
no matter where I went, I was still doing doing me. But I always found like wherever, even outside the military, the best leaders held those intrinsic values of the company, but still use their assets, their best qualities to lead the company or military forward. And I feel like if they were to teach that a little more, it's like we always say, be a little black sheep. It would be a lot better off than where we're at now.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Man, we talked about a lot today, and that's why I said we're gonna have to bring you back. We're gonna bring you back most definitely. But before I get out of here, I need to know some stuff about you real quick. So
Okay.
what's next on Mercedes Green path? Like, first of all, we didn't talk about. Well, I want to get in a little bit. I know, guys. I know I need to stop it. I know, but she failed her test and told everybody about it. Who does that, right? Like, who's that honest? You know what I mean? And
That's
that
awesome.
was the dopest thing. Like, I watched her post, and she went on there and was like, "Yo, real talk, y'all. I failed. Like, no, and I passed." That's growth to me, because everybody always show these these perfect pictures. Like, Instagram is that beautiful
Yeah.
snapshot. You know what I'm saying? Facebook is that beautiful moment. You know what I mean? And whatever that thing is, TikTok, that's funny. But
Hey, it's about dancing, man. Come on.
it's quick. You know what I'm saying? For you to actually give that up, and I want to know what you got next, because I know it's got to be something, man. It's got to be something.
Yeah. So I am licensed. Thank you for mentioning that, brother. I did pass my test finally. I took it a second time, and I am licensed. I was so happy. I was so happy. But again, I put that out because of empowerment. Like, I don't want people to see me and think that everything is perfect. I'm very transparent. I don't mind sharing, because I would rather share first than for you to come at me and you ask me a question I'm not prepared for it. So I'm always gonna meet you first on the chessboard. But next, I am actually in the midst of defending my dissertation for my PhD in advanced studies in human behavior.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Um,
that kind of language.
Thank
Love that.
you.
That's
So
awesome.
after I finish this, I have about a year left. After I complete my defense and they approve me, I should be doing my test, not my testing, but my research in April. And then from there, I will start my own practice as Mercedes Denise Green, licensed marriage and family therapist, PhD in advanced studies in human behavior.
Oh, that's a
That's
long title. That's what I'm
that's
talking about.
awesome.
Oh.
That's awesome. We were just talking about that whole process the
Yeah,
other
we
day
were just
too,
talking about the whole PhD thing. Oh my goodness.
because I'm in like
Oh,
halfway
wow.
through my physiology, and I I was like, yeah,
Congratulations.
but we're just telling them how crazy that whole process is to defend your statement and just get pretty much berated and putting up your
Yeah,
hands.
Yeah, we
yeah.
was talking.
Me and he went to school together. Mercedes. We got our masters at the same school and everything. And
Congratulations.
master's program, to me, that's enough for me, because a PhD is another level. The writing is another level. The peer review is another level. I can't. I mean, maybe one day, but right now it's just too much for me. But we were just telling Rock, we're just actually not telling. We're complaining about how you just get nailed on whatever you write. You think you're correct, and then the professor or your peers come in and they just tear you a new one. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
uh, but yeah, it's for you
I
to do
li-
a PhD. I didn't know you were at a PhD level. That's amazing.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I
Yeah.
literally told these guys I wrote a paper and I got a C on it for my master's, and I thought it was the best thing in the world because I'm in sciences, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll provide all these factual previous recordings from the lab, WebMD, PubMed, everything you could find, and I still got a C. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. Congratulations, and keep going. And I like when they challenge you like that. Don't give me an
Yeah.
A. Give me a C, and then I'll work on it. Because you give me an A, I'm not even gonna look at the paper. But
Yeah.
that's
That's
and
true.
then you feel like you're giving your best work. Like, just let me be great. Like, I'm putting
Yeah.
this knowledge out there. Just accept it. But they really, really, really challenge you. So congratulations.
Man, I'm telling you, man, this you guys are all smart. I love this, man. I told you she was bad, man. I told you she was a bad lady, man. You know what I mean?
She knows what's up
Thank
for sure.
you.
So where can people find your books? Because we want to make sure people can find you. So right now, tell people where they can find your books. Do it nice and slow so we can make sure that gets out.
Sure. They can find my books on my website at www.jayclass, CLASS, books, BOOKS.com. That's www.jclassbooks.com. And all of my books are on there. Mhm.
Right,
Oh,
right.
Awesome.
And See, you be missing stuff. I'm not telling. I'm gonna tell you again. I follow her this much, guys. She also have a poetry thing that she does too. Ooh, tell them.
Ooh, yes, I do. So a part of my empowerment was encouraging other people to write and encouraging people to share their poetry. Often people will write their poetry and they'll put it on the counter, or they'll be stuck in a room and they'll be dealing with all those demons themselves instead of being able to share it and get it out. So I started a spoken word platform where virtually other poets just come together from the East Coast, the Central Coast, the West Coast, and we all just share our poetry that night. It's a safe environment. They feel comfortable to do it. We are on
Wow.
YouTube at J Class Productions. It's always J Class, but J Class Productions on YouTube. They can follow us. They can also follow us on Instagram, our Facebook at JAY Class Productions, and they'll just see when we do the poetry. I often post weekly positive affirmations for all the poets to go by. They can reflect on it. I do have some poets that I challenge them by giving them a statement for their positive affirmation, and they have to present a video to me that following week, and then I share it on my social media and on the YouTube pages. So it's all about empowerment. It's all about us coming up together, you know, and helping each other out. So I'm encouraged. And then it also gives me something else to do outside of therapy, because it's another form of therapy is writing, but it's more so encouragement and empowerment. Thank you, brother.
You know me, man. I follow you. I'm a fan. I'm
Thank
not just
you.
I'm not just your friend. I'm not just your brother, but I'm also a fan. I love good stuff. Like,
Thank you.
I can represent anybody that's doing something good. I'm a lifestyle coach and a fitness trainer, and I will promote other fitness trainer and other lifestyles coach if you're doing the right thing. You know, I can't train everybody, so it's good to see that other people out there are doing other things that can benefit us all. So I can't shun it. And you know what I'm saying? I want to get this out. I'm gonna talk to my guys because we might want to bring a little bit of your stuff to our website. So I'm
Nice.
gonna talk to them. Because I can't make all the calls. I got these two killers right here. You know what I'm saying? They run the
Oh,
show. You
I'm
know.
just a pretty face. No, I'm just a pretty face.
Hey, Mercedes, you seem a lot smarter than all three of us combined.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
All right, well, Mercedes, man, this has been great, man. Well, everybody, this concludes another Black Sheep Parlor. Hey, this your boy Rock from Our Lifestyle. I got E, I got Alan, and we sign out with Mercedes today. Y'all be easy.